All right.
Got it? All right.
Should be
Welcome.
good.
Good deal. Welcome, everybody. So glad to see all the chorus teachers from Kentucky here. I know that this year is going to present a lot of changes and a lot of new opportunities for learning new ways to connect with our children, not only musically, but emotionally. So we wanted to get together today just as a big idea group of people we'd like to know how everyone's doing it. I know that I am an old teacher, and technology, as a lot of people can tell you, is not my
Is that bothering you?
so what I did this summer was start trying to learn a little bit at a time. And our school is going back in a hybrid model. Basically, what I'm trying to do is make sure that I can be ready for a time when we are not seeing students face to face, but knowing that we're going to have both this year. We're going to have face to face sometime, probably. We're going to have online, we'll probably have hybrid. So today, we just wanted to give you some ideas and to let you share with us some of the methods you're going to be using this year to get music out to our kids and to help them learn as musicians, as well as build their emotional health. So our first speaker, I think she's here, is Alexis Paxton today. Alexis, are you here? She is. She's going to talk about a program that she uses for sight reading. Go ahead, Alexis, if you want to come off mute.
Okay, hi guys. Thanks so much for joining us. I know, at least in Louisville, it is gorgeous outside today, so we really appreciate you taking time out of your afternoon before school starts to learn and share a little bit. I am going to share my screen quickly. Just a quick reminder on the chat to please mute your mic if you are not speaking, so everybody else can see and hear. Now, I have never tried to share on Zoom before, so this will be a fun thing for me to do. I'm going to say share screen and see what happens. And is it working? I think so. Can everybody see sight reading? Lisa, can you see?
It is working.
Okay, great. Yay. All right. So Sight Reading Factory is just very briefly, it is obviously for a sight, it's a sight reading tool. And many of you probably have heard about it. It hit popularity a couple of years ago, and people started using it in their classrooms where they would project the screen, project the exercises on the class. And what I had never used it, Lisa and I had this discussion that we were always picky about our sight reading and what we presented to our kids. And so we were always handwriting or using some sort of music software program and printing them out ourselves. It got harder to do that with NTI, obviously. So I had to come up with something to help encourage music literacy and to help with ear training exercises while we were in NTI. And I found Sight Reading Factory, and there are a lot of benefits to it. Just looking at my screen, this is what they call the dashboard. This is your home page, and you can see that I have classes set up. These are all of my choirs that participated in NTI. These are how many students were in each. And then these are how many assignments I gave them. Just so you can see, recent activity will show up. You can save configurations, specific things for classes. I don't have any saved because I made them up as assignments as I went along. And for example, you can see the class, you can see what I did. The last thing that they had to do for sight reading for me was their auditions for choir placements for this coming year. And you can see that, oh, they actually did this one because this was for auditions. If I were to scroll downward, you would see that perhaps my NTI participation was left a little to be desired, but I'm sure that was all of us. We have our classes here. You can look it up individually by student names, and all of their subscriptions have ended because we used the emergency free subscriptions that they provided for us. More on that as we get going. And then different customary levels of participation. Preferences has a fun little thing. Some of us, this is tied into, are we going to do all state choir this year and what will that look like? There are a couple of states who have chosen to use and have contracted with Sight Reading Factory for Sight Reading Factory to produce and organize their sight reading auditions for their all-state auditions. So you can see the level based on the criteria for all-state choir for Colorado, You can see Florida, All-State Middle School, Illinois, Massachusetts. We are looking into this as a possibility. Obviously, because everything costs money, there will be some costs that will be involved in that. But what we are wanting to do is incorporate Sight Reading Factory possibly as part of the sight reading, as part of the All-State audition process. So Sight Reading Factory might be something that you might want to start using with your kids. Just as an example, I will show you what happens if you just click Start Sight Reading here. And it will open up and you have lots of options. So just pretending like I'm a soprano, we'll click that. So I've picked my voice part. And then you can click your level. It will show you on the right the range for sight reading. Oh, oops, I'm sorry, it jumped ahead. The range for sight reading level 1, it will show you which notations it will use, what rests it uses, if there are ties, that the largest leap that I'm going to sing is a second. Scary. Level 2, oh, I'm doing this wrong over and over again. Level 2, I can just hover and it'll be there. It's a little more complicated with your rests. I will figure out how to do this someday. Level 3 obviously adds 8th notes and some dots and things like that. You can also look down and see that you're now in leaps and they've added dynamics. I don't know who can, I don't have time to really pay attention if they're using dynamics, but so anyway, you can set that. You can also customize the level and you can click exactly which notes you want there to be. You can also use which rests you'd like. If you want the easy level of difficulty, medium difficulty, or not, you can put whether you want syncopation or whether you want ties in it. So you can kind of set it up however you want. You can adjust the range. You can adjust leaps, or you can customize how many leaps you want and where they should be. You can decide whether you want accidentals or if you want dynamics or not, whether you want it to start and end on the root, etc. You can pick your key signature. You can pick your time signature. It's very, very specific about what you want and what you need. And that's one of the reasons that I enjoyed using it the most. I had a lot of students who weren't capable maybe of me. They needed more help. They needed more guidance. They needed me to set everything up for them. And so I was able to do that. There were some, I can't remember why it's not letting me go out of this. Key signature, let's go F major. Pitches. I'm supposed to click something here, and this is why it's not letting me go on. Okay, please select a maximum leap. How about a fifth? Okay, there we go. And then you can choose whether you want to free play or you can challenge yourself. For assignments, you can set it up however you want to do it, but just for free play now, it will show me the exercise. There is a tuning fork up here in the upper corner, and if I click it, it will give me my starting pitch. You can't hear it because I can hear it through my earbuds, but otherwise, you can set it so that a metronome goes. You can also set how fast or slow you want it to be. And then there is a timer that you can put on it as well. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can talk to you now a little bit more. But overall, what I enjoyed about the exercises were that you could level it for your kids. My advanced kids, by the end of it, were picking their own level. They were picking their voice part. They were picking what key they wanted. I gave them recommended or suggested keys. They were choosing whether they wanted solfege to already be provided or not. They were picking whether they wanted a metronome tick with it or not. My beginners, everything was set up for them. They just did it what they wanted to do. You can set it up on a timer so that you have a minute to prep, and then it instantly starts recording the student while they sight read. As soon as they're done singing, you will be asked if you want to hear it back immediately, and it will show and hear so the student can get immediate feedback on what they've missed, and then the student can choose whether or not to submit that as their assignment. You can set up as the teacher how many tries you want each child to get. The fun thing about the second tries and third tries is that every time that they try again, they get a new exercise. So they're not just memorizing and learning the same thing. They get a whole brand new one that is the same set of configurations that you've already set for the first. It's weird to be talking and lecturing about this program and getting no feedback from anybody. So are there any specific questions about the program or anything else that I didn't mention maybe that some of you have used the program and enjoyed?
Hey, Alexis, about what kind of cost are people going to incur if they subscribe to this or however that works?
Um, because I didn't join until NTI in mid-March, my join fee as a teacher and as a school was $35 or $25. And then they gave me all my student accounts for free. I think the fee for each student now, I think is $2 or $3 per student. But I'm not sure. And my thinking as I'm talking to you about this out loud would be that if the student was going to audition for Allstate and we wanted to use this, that could be part of their audition fee as well. Like it would be embedded in it so that they're not paying extra for it. Anything else? I think an email to Sight Reading Factory, that was how how could we contact them to find out? I think an email to Sight Reading Factory is how you originally do it. I do also know that they offer, sometimes they will bundle. So if you are using it and your orchestra is using it and your band is using it, each of you will pay the teacher fee, but then they will lower the cost of student accounts. And then if there are any students who are in choir and band or choir and orchestra, then that student only pays one fee and then they can join however many classes they want. That is also a possibility for students who are already enrolled in it through their own school, John. So then they would just join the class that would be for KMEA All-State auditions, potentially. I'm not sure. We'd have to look into that, but I'm sure we could email them.
Alexis, how did it go into your Google Classroom when your students submitted to you?
Okay, so I didn't get that fancy with it because I was fairly new to being able to work everything together. So what I did was I created the assignment in Google Classroom under the classwork tab, and then I attached the link to Sight Reading Factory. And then when the students completed their assignment, they just clicked submit to me on Google Classroom so that I had record that it was done. But no, the exercise itself, I had to go into Sight Reading Factory separately to grade.
Thanks.
Yeah. But there is actually a place, if they open up Sight Reading Factory, you can give them a grade in Sight Reading Factory, and then there's a place for comments as well to give them feedback.
Great. That's great. What other questions does anyone have for Alexis today?
The question is, can it be an external source in Canvas? I would throw that question out to the whole group because I've never worked with Canvas before. Oh, it does integrate. Thank you, Erin Bowling. Good answers.
Very good. Anybody else? All right. Great. Amy asked, how would Allstate fee work if our students already have a student account? We're still working on that. We know that Allstate right now is something that right now we are meeting about this week, in fact, and trying to figure out the logistics. So as we move forward, this is definitely one of the areas that we have in mind to pay attention to.
I will say that as a district chair, one of the things that is important to me as I represent my district and we make these plans for Allstate is that we would try to keep costs as low as humanly possible this year, in particular, with how difficult everything will be and all the families that have been hit in so many different ways. So we will definitely not add. I think Lisa has been really compassionate about where everybody's coming from. And so if Sight Reading Factory appears that it would be a greater cost than it would be the value of doing it, then we will find a different way.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Alexis.
Sure,
we so
no problem.
appreciate it. All right. Our next speaker today is going to be Dee Walker. Dee, could you come on for us?
Hi.
Hi, Dee.
All right, let me start sharing my screen. So I'm talking today about virtual choirs. Everyone see this? Are we good? With virtual choirs, I really wanted to give you guys some resources so that you guys don't do it yourself. I know that with everything going on, we are asked to do a lot more training on Google Classroom, training on Remind, training on Canvas, and trying to make all of our plans virtual. So I wanted to really give you guys some resources of people who I know who are doing some virtual choirs. First one is Main Office Productions, and all their contact information is there. Brad Ritchie works. I've done work with him. He does all the recordings for District 12. He was doing District 7 as well for assessment. They do audio recordings and video. So Main Office Productions, I highly recommend them. And then a new production company is EB Productions. It's formed by 2 choir students at UK, 2 undergrads. They are specializing in the virtual choirs, recording software, doing visual recordings for your concerts whenever we get there. So those contact informations are right there. In addition, there's a great new choir not a Facebook group or a choir account called Choir or More. They have daily webinars on things. Actually, there's one today at 2:00 about how to do a virtual choir with the video aspects of virtual choir. And it's all free. They give you access to all of these webinars. They post them on their Facebook page. They send you an email with all the links. There are multiple links on Flipgrid. I know there's one on Flipgrid. There's one on social economic learning, social emotional learning, different topics, but they're a very great resource for people to have. Also, I was going to say, yes, Dr. Lyon, Choir Creator, is also another great source, wonderful source for you to have. And let me see. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Now, are there any other questions about some resources for virtual choirs? I will definitely send these links out. Pricing with everything varies. I asked Ethan and Ben today. The pricing varies for how big the choir is going to be. So obviously, if you're doing a virtual choir with 250 people, that's 250 people that they have to listen to and do the video and mix them all together. So their price is going to be a little bit more. But I would just be cognizant of how many people are you going to be. I would recommend starting smaller and then going bigger.
I would like to add that at this time, in this day and age, I know that so many of our administrators are saying, hey, we saw this virtual choir thing. Why don't you do that? And we know that it involves a lot of time, but it's obviously something they want. And at this time, to keep choir strong in our schools, I think this is definitely something to look into, especially if we can give it to someone else, to a business, and help a music-based business in this time. I'm sure everyone needs the economic help that they can get. So this is a great idea. I know that I am not a virtual choir person. That's beyond my realm right now, but if I don't have time to deal with it right now, it's nice to have these people that could help us. Are there any questions with this? Oh, do these companies also help with copyright fees? Dee, do you know?
That's a very good question. I'm not sure. I would have to find out. I would think so.
Yeah. I think that's going to be something that we need to continue to look through also this year, while we are posting videos of our choirs so their parents can see a virtual concert maybe. It's just something that I think we need to just keep watching for. Amy says, I did a small amount of virtual choir during spring using iMovie on an iBook. If money is an issue for your school, it's possible to learn from YouTube and others who have done virtual choir do-it-yourself style.
Yes, and that Core More, the the choir professional group, they have great tutorials on the step-by-step processes of how you can do all of those things. And I will put the link to sign up to that in the email. Though, and it's all free for you. It says, does anyone have any suggestions on when most students are using Chromebooks? One big thing every person I talked to advocated for is an external microphone for your kids. So those are going to cost a little bit, but if you want good quality, I would definitely recommend getting an external mic have your kids get an external mic if you really wanted to do a virtual choir.
Great. Any other questions? We got some good ideas on other companies also. And I think that's one thing to remember, that during this time, you have to find what works for you. There's so many different choices, but to be able to find one and to talk with people and to see what works for you, that's going to be key, I think, because don't plan on trying it all. It's little bit by little bit. Anyone else? Ooh, some good sites. Thank you. All right, so next up today we have Olivia Hughes, and she's going to share right now her screen.
Well, good morning. I'm Olivia Hughes. I'm at Madison Central High School with Lisa, and I'm going to talk to you today about leading a rehearsal via Zoom or Google Meet or whatever virtual interactive platform that you have. Back in the spring when we were in NTI times, I did not do this. I was convinced that my kids would not show up to a virtual rehearsal, because at that time they were able to do their work whenever they wanted. But I started a summer camp that met the last 2 weeks, and we had lots of success with students participating in these virtual rehearsals. So in true teacher fashion, I'm going to show you some things via actually teaching you. So what I would do for my students is I would request that they put me on speaker view, and I'm going to have them on gallery view so I can see them. Obviously your videos are off because of the YouTube things. I'm not gonna make you do silly things for YouTube, but if you are comfortable, find a place, stand up. We're gonna warm up. Yay. So the way that I run these rehearsals is I just do it like I would in class, but it's a lot more visual and less aural than anything else, because you can't hear them. They're all on mute. You are doing the bulk of the singing, but you are also doing a lot of watching your screen to make sure that they are where they are. So it's totally possible to do all the breathing exercises, echoing back and forth, all of that. There's just a time delay that you have to make sure that you are aware of. So I may start with, we're gonna breathe in for 4 and out for 4 on a shh. And so I'll count them off and I'll say, get rid of your air. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and shh. And we're going again, in, 2, 3, out for 8, shh, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I might tell them, to put a hand here, check their breathing. We're doing the same things we do in class. We're just watching the screen. A lot of it may be, I'm gonna think that this is probably a problem for some people, even though I don't hear it or see it, so I'm gonna mention it. Then we may go into a warm-up time where I'm playing, and so the sound from my piano is coming through my microphone, and I'm doing all of the singing. They're also singing. I usually, I preface every rehearsal by reminding them that they're gonna get out what they put in. So if they choose to not participate and they're mouthing their singing, or they're embarrassed to sing in their room or wherever they are, that's okay, but they're not gonna get as much out of it as if they participate. And so a lot of it is building the culture that it's okay to make funny noises in your spare bedroom of your house. So I may usually I give them the example first. So I'm gonna do V, O, V, O, V, O, V, O, V, O, V, and I'll say your turn. V, O, V, O, V, O, V, O, V, O, V, and I might tell them, make sure that O is really nice and tall. Here we go again. V, O, V, O, V, O, V, O, V, O, V, and I would check everything. I would say with warm-ups, with whatever you're doing, because it's such a visual thing, I would give them something physical, some physicality with whatever exercise you're having them sing. So for that one, I might say, let's make small circles and keep it light and bouncy. So you're watching their circles. They're participating in many different ways. Same thing we would do in class. You just have to configure it more towards what you need to see to be able to give feedback. We do warm-up time and then we move on to musicianship building. So I am going to share my screen. Sight reading when you're leading a rehearsal. I love that Alexis presented on Sight Reading Factory because I stole this right off of Sight Reading Factory. So usually what I do, just like we would in class, lets someone tell me what do is. I would say raise your hand, or you can say just unmute yourself and tell me, but usually it's a free-for-all. So I like to do like raise your hand if you want to answer. Then I would give them like a minute to go through it on their own. Before I would give them their minute, I would establish tonic. I would have them sing it while I'm singing it for them. At first, it felt like I was taking away a lot of their independence, but I'm really not, because they're still having the independent time of practicing. So all I do is sing the scale and the triad with them. Then they set off on their own, try and figure it out. When we come back, usually what I do is I ask for a volunteer. And then there's what I call the life group pause. So if you've ever been in a life group before where you're like, who wants to pray for us? Everyone goes silent and everyone looks at the floor. No one wants to make eye contact. That's usually what happens until someone is brave enough to sing it. And so I'll have that person unmute. I'll give them their do again. They'll sing the exercise, and then we praise, obviously, because we never want anyone to feel like they didn't do an awesome job. And we talk about things that they did right, things that they need to work on. Then I usually have them do it all together with me singing it. So again, they know where they are and they've got it all. This is a great time to employ audiation techniques and Kerwin hand signs. If you've never taught the hand signs before, this is a good opportunity, because as they're practicing in their minute, you're able to see like, oh, are they getting it? Are they confused? Are they sitting there like this? So yeah, sight singing. With my beginners, I would probably start off with everyone singing it all together, and then I would have them self-assess. Zoom lends itself to them self-assessing visually. So if you're like, give me a 1 to 5, 1, you really sucked, 5, you were awesome, you can do any sight reading ever, and then they'll give you, and that's just a good way. You can also use the chat for that, but I found that they're less likely to put their number in the chat, pardon me, where it is going to be visible for all people to see, than they are to just like throw up their number real quick. So there's that. I'm gonna move on to like actually rehearsing music. Stop sharing my screen real quick. So in terms of rehearsing music, and again, I did not do this in the spring. My experience with this is through this camp, and we chose 2 pieces to do with these kids. And we reached out to the composers to say, hey, is it okay if we use your music? We've purchased PDF copies, all the things. So I set up a Google folder for them. And in the folder, it has all of the things that they would need to work through, and I'm going to share my sound with you as well. Okay, so here's one. This is one of the pieces we did, SATB piece, called United in Song. In here, there used to be a practice tracks folder. It's not there anymore, but recording tracks where they would submit their video, instructions for submitting their video, and then the PDF version of their music. I found that some of the students, they wanted to pull the PDF up on their laptop that they were Zooming on or Google Meeting or whatever, and that's fine. They're just mostly looking at the music and not looking at you. Others preferred to pull it up on their phone, and they had their phone here looking at the music. And then, you know, the rare people that are fortunate enough to have a printer at home printed their music, and they had it there. But you're able, when I started, I recorded rehearsal tracks. Okay. And so the way that I did that, which I'm sure you could hire someone to do, there's plenty of resources out there. I used a MIDI track that just plays like the piano version, well, fake piano version of their part, to record my own voice and a friend of mine's voice. And because I'm not a tenor or bass, obviously, and they would rehearse with that. So I'm gonna just play you like a tiny bit of that. I did that through Logic. You can also do it through GarageBand, which comes preloaded on any Mac. There are other programs that you can use as well. Logic is expensive. I don't own it. I have the free trial version. But it allows, I like the fact that they're practicing with people's voices rather than just a MIDI file, because they're able to, if done correctly, hear where they're supposed to place consonants and all of that. And we kind of used it as a baseline and then built off of that. It also helps them feel like they're singing with people. Let's see if this will work. So they would practice with those. Sometimes we would break up into breakout rooms, which is something you can do in Zoom and in Google Meet, where you send all the sopranos to one room and all the altos, and you as the host can go through. Audacity is good. Yes, I saw that. It is a good resource for that. Very simple to use as well. So they had access to the tracks. They could play the soprano track in their breakout room, and you have a student leader leading that rehearsal. When I made the individual tracks for sopranos, altos, tenors, basses, I used panning to put everybody, the whole choir, in their left ear if they're wearing headphones, and then just their part in the right ear. So that would help them practice. As the host, you can jump into anyone's breakout room and just check up on them and see how they're doing. Maybe the tenors are struggling and you need to help them a little bit, and then you go back and see how the sopranos are doing. You can also call them back at any time you want. You just close the breakout rooms and they're back in the main room with you. Yes, I have used voice memos to make practice tracks as well. You are right. The quality is not good, but it works, and they're just practice tracks. So if you notice in this folder, there's a recording tracks versus a practice tracks. The practice tracks were very rough cuts, and then while they were learning the piece, in whatever spare time I had, I synced up consonants and all of that for the recording tracks. So when they went to record their song, everything was as good as it could be for them. I'm trying to go back through all the chat stuff. In terms of sight reading, like I pulled that from Sight Reading Factory. So even if you don't buy the version for all your students, if you have a teacher account, you can have them create. I've also created them myself. I will tell you that there are several music notation softwares out there that are really good and free. The one that I've been using most frequently is flat.io, because it interfaces with Google. So you can open up Google Sheets and you can create music notation right in a Google Sheet. So that's flat.io, and it's free. And you get I think you get 12 compositions at a time, but when you delete one, you can have another one. So yes, you have to get an add-on for Google Classroom, and you can use it in, I believe they have it for Google Sheets and Google Slides. It's flat, this is flat. Here, there you go. Awesome. Slides. It's flat, I'm echoing. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about, which Dee gave you wonderful resources for people that you go to. I'm just going to share with you what I use for instructions for my student when all of this ends in a video. And this I will definitely share. This is a template, so you can take it and steal it and do whatever you want with it. It's the best version that stumbled upon. This is actually from a woman named Rebecca Saltzman. She used to teach in New Jersey. She's starting a new job this year in Connecticut. So I totally stole it from her. But so it talks about how to gather your materials. Anywhere I've highlighted, it's like things that you need to change to be specific to your choir. So we usually have them wear a specific color shirt based on what the song's about. But where you would link your recording tracks, how to set up your recording area, how to set up your recording. So if you're using someone to produce your video, you would want to talk with them about what they preferred. All of the ones that I've made, when I made one myself, and then when I hired someone, they wanted the people to be filming in landscape, not portrait. So we say YouTube, not TikTok, right? So all of that tells them how to, like, you need to press this first and then this and all the things, and then how to submit their video. This is the last thing that I want to make sure. So if you're going to do this and you're going to have them submit videos, this is something I did not know, that they just need to drop it into a Google folder, or I guess they could like send it to you via AirDrop or something if they're near you and you're using phones. But if you do it as a Google Classroom assignment and they turn it in under an assignment, it's going to compress the video and it will not be as easy to work with. So just dumping them into a Google folder is the best way. And then there's some like helpful tips that I tell my students, which is mostly to keep them encouraged, because it is very hard to record yourself, and the more you do it, the worse you get. On take 25, you're just really not breathing well at all, and you're worried about how your hair looks and all the things. So I will definitely share this document. I will send the link here in the chat, and then I'm also going to give it to John so he can put it in the comments on the description of the YouTube video. I know that was very fast, and I know mostly because I'm out of breath from talking so fast. So if you have questions about anything, you can ask them now. If you need me to expand upon something, you can email me. I'll put my email in the chat as well. So yeah, if there are any questions now, I will take those now.
Anybody? I would say that one thing, thank you so much, Olivia. That was great. One thing that we can do this year so much, I mean, how many of us did a Zoom meeting, had ever done a Zoom meeting this time last year? So this is a great way when you do stumble or you do have questions to set up with other music teachers, either in your district or even in the state, and just kind of work your way through. Don't let yourself be frustrated. Go ahead and speak with someone. Everyone knows something different. So our next one is Lauren. Our next person is Lauren Barnhill, and she's here to talk about how your kids can provide leadership in their choirs this year.
Hi guys. Okay, this is weird. Can you see me? Okay, I'm just gonna go because I don't know if I'm on there or not. I can't see myself.
You're on.
Okay.
You're live and in person. Go, Lauren.
It's so weird with all the black squares because like I'm a read the room person and I can't really tell like how things are going. Hi everybody, I'm Lauren Barnhill and I teach at Boone County High School in Florence, Kentucky. It's going into my 13th year there. And one of the things that really was just hard on me at the end of last year was that I'm used to running a program that is really student driven. And there are so many things that I feel like by the time we got to May, my students had missed out on because everything was coming from me through the computer. So I'm going to share my screen, and if I can figure this out. Oh my gosh, I'm like an old person when it comes to technology a little bit. Here we go. Right. All right, so I'm just going to talk to you about sharing the virtual podium. And to kind of start out my program next year, I'm actually really nervous about just the idea of having an extended amount of time online, because my students are typically helping out with leading warm-ups, kind of guiding the younger students throughout the entire process, and just helping with buy-in. I've got a really strong senior class next year, and I was kind of banking on the fact that I could help them divide and conquer and just kind of spread out and engage the younger students to get everybody else where they need to be for following years. So in a normal day in my classroom, I would have student directors who are leading warm-ups. I have a choir council. They plan outside school activities. They plan get to know you games. We would have section leaders leading sight reading buddies, choral librarians, and things like that. And I think so much of that student engagement is important for them in social aspects of choir, but also for the entire program. So it helps with especially students who are your higher level gifted students, allowing them to kind of go beyond what we're doing in the classroom and think of it from a teacher standpoint. So some non-musical ideas that I have for kids that aren't really wanting to get up in front of or share videos with each other or lead sectionals, plan online games. I know we did an ACDA meeting earlier this week, and Olivia actually had a really great set of online games that they can play in Google Meet or in Zoom, getting kids out of their comfort zone. A lot of students that I never expected to have mental health concerns were really struggling last year. So I think this year I'm going to plan a kind of big brother, big sister mentor group where kids can adopt a freshman and just check in with them. You know, how are things going, not just in this class, how are things going in your other classes as well. My kids do a compliment box for each other, and they just kind of drop in compliments, and we pass them out on Fridays. They're always monitored by me or a student leader, but we're going to try and do a board this year just to get them interacting and, you know, letting them know that they are being noticed by others. Online viewing parties, virtual choirs, viewing parties for the Disney sing-alongs or Hamilton or whatever is going on. And then at the top here, I put some motivational posters. I know I'm getting into the Bitmoji craze. I'm going to blame that completely on Lisa Jury, but design virtual motivational posters for the classroom, or even find a quote of the day and share that with their students in their class. Musical implementation. So yesterday, I don't think I'm actually going to play this, but I have been talking to my students about leadership, and I sent something out and said, would anybody be able to make a really short video about seated posture position? And within like 15 minutes, I had a video from one of my students talking me through the whole process. And she was actually on her break working at Walmart, like in the staff room. And she was so excited to just be able to send that in. So just fundamental training videos, breathing. We don't always have to be the ones leading all of those things. The more we kind of divvy that up to our students, the more we can do. Lead virtual warm-ups, kind of like Olivia was talking about, but they could also do videos or in person. Hand sign videos, sight reading buddies, sectional. So when Olivia was talking about the breakout rooms, she mentioned student leadership and helping just kind of keep things on track, answering questions for their peers. I put the posters on here again. Planning concert repertoire and doing score study with some help, of course, from the director. But this is something I really love to do with my students. They love to do it as well, but we don't always have the time to dive into it. So assuming that it's looking like things are going to be rolling in the spring, I think Kelly Clark had told me she's planning on having her students actually plan their entire spring curriculum during possible NTI or hybrid days like we're doing. And then voice lessons with a senior. Obviously ask the kids that you think could do it and plan for virtual drop-ins. There's nothing kind of sketchy going on. But yeah, these are some things that I'm planning to implement this year. I have done a lot of these things in the classroom. I've never done them virtually. And I know that that will be an interesting dynamic, but just throwing some ideas out there for you guys. So,
Lauren, there's a question in the chat about describing how to do a viewing party.
oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out how to get my chat on. So thank you for that. So the viewing parties basically would just be, my students did like a Zoom meeting with their class. You could do it through Google Hangout as well. And all they did was tell everybody to start at the same time, and just kind of watch reactions on the screen with each other. We put together a virtual concert in the spring that was, it was mainly student solos, and then senior shout outs and these different things in between. And we just did a virtual viewing party where the kids could kind of watch together and comment, hey, that was awesome. I'm so proud of you. Great job. But yeah, it's essentially just watching things in real time together virtually.
Are there any other questions for Lauren? Cool. All right, great. Thank you so much. And yes, someone asked if these would get posted. We will be posting this video. So thank you so much, Lauren. So appreciate those great notes. You guys have all had great ideas. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, let's see here if we can do this. There. All right. If once Lauren mutes and goes off, I think I'll pop up. Oops, wait. Can you all hear me? You're there and you can see me. Okay, so Lauren's still on there. Good. All right. So the next thing, am I the speaker view right now? Maybe not. Hold on. There. So Olivia can especially tell you, she has saved me so many times. I am not a technology person, but I was so unhappy with the way that I was not able to connect with my students last spring that I spent a lot of this summer working on what can I do differently and what can I learn. And I will say that the best resources I found were first groups on YouTube, and just finding choir directors on YouTube that had the same problems that I was having, people who needed to work on technology in their classroom and everything else. So there's so much out there. First of all, it's overwhelming, but everything's overwhelming right now. So you just take it little bit by little bit and find something that you love. And so I'm going to share two things today that I found that I really, really like. I think our children, our students do have an emotional need from us right now. And one of those needs is just to be heard and information. They feel like they don't know what's going on. So I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. If I know how to do this, hold on. Again, exit full screen. I'm going to share this and go to my classroom app. All right. So this is something that I just created this last week. This is my app to get information out to my classrooms. I have found that my biggest wonderful, I'm so much of a fan of Google Slides, and I really didn't know anything about this before. I had no idea. I don't think I ever used Google Slides last year. And then I just started talking with people online, and this is what I
Lisa,
found.
we're not seeing your screen though.
Oh no, hold on. Let's go to exit.
Share harder.
And hold on. Are you there? Am I there?
It's just you.
It's just me. I'm trying to get back, sorry. Again, hold on.
Do you want me to pull it up?
Oh, can you?
Yeah, you shared your classroom app with me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Right now, I don't even see my Zoom. Hold on, I'm trying to find that. There you are. Okay, so I found this. I might be able to do it now, but let's see what I got. Share screen. Again, new computer, so sorry. Maybe this is it. Yeah, go ahead and pull it up, please, for me, Olivia, if you wouldn't mind. Unless, okay, can you see that? No.
No. Let's see.
See if you can pull this up.
It's still loading, but
It's still
coming.
loading. Okay.
Coming.
Well, thank you for your help. Again, Olivia saves my life a lot. I wasn't going to say life, but we're. All right. So this is the app that I created to get information out to my students. And there was a learning curve. I got it, but it really didn't take. Once I got the first app or the first place done, it was easy to do the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and do a present mode, hopefully. Oh, Olivia, go ahead and do a present mode for me. Thank you. So when the students, I went ahead and made this a tiny URL so that students will just download this onto their phones, and so will parents. The first thing, we're going to go to the contact. And if they click on that, they can click on my name or on the envelope, and they will be automatically able to send me an email, which is really the best way to get a hold of me. The little exit bar at the bottom, that will not show up on their phone. So that's good. So at this point, we're going to go home. We're going to click on the little home at the bottom. And let's just go to dates right now. We'll go to dates. In dates, I know that kids are always asking, what's coming up? So I've started filling in things. This is August. And then down at the bottom, I've made links to go forward. And let's look at each of the months real quick. If you click right on the link, it shows that there's a place for birthdays to kind of get them involved in each other's lives and know what they're going on. And we'll go on to, let's go all the way to the end to May. So these are all of the little, once you get going, you can see that my months kind of get a little bit better each time, because the more that I did it, the more fun I had with it. And like January, but we know that graduation was a big topic this year. So I really wanted to focus on graduation for next year. So my whole May calendar works with that. So that's, just getting started on that. This gave me a chance to work on it this summer and have something ready for the entire year and not have to worry about dealing with it in the middle of the school year. So we're going to go to the home button right now. And let's go to class info. This is something that I really wanted to set up because my kids didn't know how to turn in things on Google Classroom. So let's go to the Google Classroom first, and we'll look in that. And I have given them a step-by-step guide. If you want to go ahead and just punch through that, Olivia, a step-by-step guide on what they're going to need to do to run class on Google Classroom. And that's why there's a forward and a back button on these, so that if they're like, well, I don't quite get that, but then they can go forward again. Finally, if you go, there's about 7 slides on this one, but we'll go through this little bit by little bit with my class. And then once they get to the last slide on this section, it will take them back to the page that we started on. So there's a little stop sign finally, and we'll go back. And we're going to go to online etiquette really quick. This was the other set of these. I got these from Teachers Pay Teachers, and I just uploaded these files into this little slides presentation. So this hopefully will help them. We're going to talk about emails to teachers. I know that that's one thing I got way too much of last year, was just random emails. So now we're going to talk about that. So if we'll go back, one more thing I'd like to show you really, really quickly. I think that I've got a parent involvement, that's fine. But there's some things that I don't have yet. So let's go to schedule. We don't even know our schedule yet. So I went through some special things and was able to figure out how to do the animation on this. So that is this. There is what I would do for this is there is a tutorial. There's a few tutorials. There's one that's part 1, part 2 on YouTube on how to make a class app. And honestly, that it walks you step by step by step. The 2 videos are each about 15 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and exit this. But this is seriously, if I can do this, anybody can do this. I'm gonna see if I can share my screen for the next thing because this was something else that I did that Olivia doesn't have yet. Okay, are you guys seeing this? Olivia, can that be seen?
No, what is it?
Copy of class picture collage.
No. So you push the share screen button, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you're going to click on whatever you're trying to share. And then at the bottom, click share.
Got it. Share. See if this works.
Yay!
Thank you again, saving my life. So I know that our students have had an entire summer and they're kind of, we need to meet their emotional needs. Well, we've got kids at Madison Central. Some of them are going to be with us and some of them are going to be at home. So I felt that I needed to find a way to merge those 2 groups together. So I want you to look up this person. I'm so impressed with everything I've found from her. Her name is Dr. Isabel Morales. And that website is, if somebody wants to type this is, Dr. Isabel, Isabel, Morales, Morales.com. She has so much on there that I can use on Google Slides, so many wonderful ideas. So this is the first thing, that's Isabel down in the corner. The first thing is it tells how to be a part of our classroom. So what she's got is this, and the directions are right here. And then when it says remove the background using remove background, love, had never used it before. So I went ahead and did that. And I added myself to my classroom. What this gives the students a chance to is just to get together in a classroom, even though it's just online. But she has some really great ideas also for online workbooks that you can, because I know that one thing I've been worried about is how am I going to get paper copies to all my kids, and it's not necessary. So I highly, highly, highly recommend her website. I know that we have a lot on our plate this year, and I know that everything's going to change, but what a great way to, I feel like a first-year teacher. So it's just a great way to try new things and, again, rely on each other. Can I answer anybody's questions? Let's see here. I'm going to my chat. Full screen. And I don't see anything. Great. Yeah, that is her. So yeah, somebody asked about the tutorial. Yes, it is. I honestly, the people on YouTube did so much better than I could probably do. It goes step by step. I was awfully going back and forth, and it gave me that chance. So anything else? All right. Well, let's go ahead and go off mute right now. And if we want to share our ideas, yes, I will send that YouTube link for the tutorial. I sure will. Great idea. Thank you. Does anybody want to have, we can go off mute, and if anybody has any comments about today, we'd love to hear what you thought, or what questions you have, or what you are worried about for the year, because we want to make it, we want to be able to help. We are going to help each other this year. We're going to need to help each other. This is new ground for everybody. I need 2 more months of summer to get ready. I know. Yes. Baby steps. Clifton says, I need 2 more months. Just seriously, baby steps this year. Remember, this is like a first year teacher. You're gonna be better this year than you were last spring. And if we even once we get back into school full time all the time, we're gonna have all these tools for us to use, as well as just our hands-on face-to-face that we're used to.
So I have, maybe I'm just going to send this out into the universe. I think my biggest issue is right now we're starting like part in person, part online as of right now. But when I'm going to say when they make that move to all virtual, how I'm going to teach piano lab. So does anyone have any like great ideas aside from turning it into a music theory, music history class? On how I can, things I can do when my students do not have pianos. If you can't help me, that's okay. But there are a lot of
Yeah,
teachers.
that's okay. Oh, somebody says, I need the same thing. I guess is there anybody else in this forum that their piano students all have pianos at home, or is just having a piano a problem?
Having a piano. This is Amy speaking here. Yeah, when we went to remote last year, I found that maybe only 30% of the students enrolled in my two sections of piano class had access to a piano or keyboard at home. So it did become more of a music appreciation, listening to performances, that kind of thing. And it was okay to get us through the end, but because we'd gotten so much training in before. But I'm like Olivia, wondering what I'm going to do where that's may happen here more at the beginning of the semester. I didn't know if there's something. I even tried looking on YouTube for some things, but they're all just virtual pianos you can see, but of course not interact.
I saw someone on Facebook again the other day that was having the same issue, and they were just giving a shout out for anybody who had some type of a keyboard. It didn't have to be an 88 key, but there's so many out there that people just, it's a four octave and they're ready to get rid of it. And I think if the students just had anything in their hands, even if it's a bad one.
That's what we did. This is Jean Lee in Harlan County, and we gathered up some portable keyboards. We had some at the high school, we had some in our elementary schools, and we made sure they were all in working order. And then we checked those out, just like you would a library book, to who did not have a piano available at home. And that worked really well for us. And we had the going to deliver food, so we actually delivered the keyboards through the bus program. And then at the end of the year, we had them turn the keyboards back in that same method. So that might be helpful for some.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
That's a good one. Anybody else?
I am also making up a virtual, sorry, I don't have a video on here. I'm making up a virtual, a poster that is the actual size of a keyboard with the keys. So like a script, and I'm laminating it, and on pickup day when picking up their Chromebooks, I'm picking up what leaves at the start of my beginning keyboard. They can work on finger positions and get spacing via spacing.
Cool, good. That's a great idea. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think it's a really tough one. Anyone else have any ideas for Olivia?
This is Regina I teach in the Covington Diocese. There are some apps that the kids can use that have little keyboards. Simply Piano is one. And I joined, and then I allowed the kids to use my login and password. Of course, I used a school appropriate login and password. It's just an online piano tutorial with a little virtual keyboard. I know it's not perfect, but the kids really, especially beginners, I think they got a kick out of it. The more advanced students, no, it's not going to be what you're looking for, but
Thank you. I hope that helps a little bit. Who else has some questions like that? I mean, we're going to run into a lot of challenges this year. A lot of it's going to be different.
Me.
Yes, go Amy Durham.
I teach in Greene County, right in the center of the state. And we're starting on a hybrid schedule as well, some in person and some virtual. We're also doing a modified block schedule. The center of the state. And we're starting on a hybrid schedule. We are, we'll have A week, B week. So I'm going to have 90-minute classes and some kids in the room and some kids who are working virtually. And I kind of have a plan for what the virtual kids are going to do. I'm just wondering, for those of you who've had experience with block scheduling, how to teach choir for 90 minutes, particularly in this situation where we're going to have to be spread out and singing together is, who knows?
It's been a long time since I've taught block schedule, but we had it when I first started teaching at Madison Central. And honestly, I really loved it. Now, the only difference from that with what you have is we had them, like they had 4 classes a semester. So we had them a whole semester. And then a lot of times the chorus kids would get 2 credits in chorus because they'd take it all year. What I found was to put a schedule up on the board. I always include some sight reading, always, and then we would try to pick 3 pieces to work on, but to make a schedule that includes the sight reading, the theory from the music, each little part of the music. I would say don't let yourself get hung up on practicing music for the entire time. Find different things, split it up even. The history of the composers, or the lyricists especially. Also, don't forget dictation. Dictation will help so much with sight reading. It's not even funny. So I think what you're gonna do is don't plan on, oh my gosh, we have to get double our music done. I think you're going to focus more on what else can be learned from that music. But yeah, singing for the entire time is not what you wanna do.
Block schedule 90 minutes for several years, and I do 30-minute lessons, 3 different topics. And if you're changing it up every 30 minutes, you'll have their attention and they'll love it.
Okay. Oh, we're losing Christine, which makes me think we've got to think about how we're going to deal with kids with poor reception. But it's going to be Brett. I see your hand, and I also see your question. Are you asking about the Allstate piece?
Well, just going to interject real quick. Plus, with the aerosol study, they're telling us to pretty much keep our singing down to less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're definitely going to have to be very diverse, especially in a 90-minute setting. Yes, warm up with sight singing, with some theory, and a little brain break. Probably try and get to know your kids. That's one thing we do with starting the year. 1 student per day. They introduce themselves. They tell us about themselves. We ask them questions and things like that. But yeah, it's going to have to be pretty limited singing for a 90-minute period.
Yeah.
Yes, the audition piece. What's going to be done with that?
At this point, we're not ready to chuck it. We're still on that. What we're thinking of is if we have to, and we probably will have to audition remotely, that we're hoping to be able to have the backing tracks for the other 3 voices, I guess. So like if you had a soprano, they'd be singing with a recording of the alto, tenor, and bass. And then we listen to that. But honestly, we're still in the works with that. So yes, with the piece. Yes, we hope to have, we're working on the recordings. I know Ryan Marsh, I think, has sent me something about that. at this point, if we're able to do auditions, whether it be online or in face-to-face, which is probably highly unlikely, we're sticking with that same piece. Let's see, we've got some questions. I'm gonna go from the bottom. Trying a new ear training program this year. John Christopher has one that you might, there's a great website that he's got, you might want to look. Block teaching, if you think of what you're doing, yeah, students will, yeah, 30 minutes is good. It's kind of like a concert. If you make a 2-hour concert, you're losing them, but 30 lessons for kids, pretty good. Yay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Thank you. My principal is going to move me outside. We have a huge patio outside our lunchroom. And so we're going to be outside for a portion of our 100-minute choir period. So that's one of the things that we're going to do. Another approach that I'm going to make with that is to do some individualized instruction with smaller groups, or maybe even some voice lessons for students that are interested in that. I'll incorporate a little bit of written work or a little bit of, listening or part learning on their own in my lesson in my choir class. But that's kind of the approach that I'm going to take. It's kind of like the 3 30-minute class periods. That's kind of going to be what my approach would be.
Good.
Thanks.
Aaron, someone in the chat asked, are you still going to mask them outside? Or are you letting them sing unmasked?
I think I'm still going to mask them just to be on the safe side. I don't think that I want to take that risk with my students. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
I think we're still going to mask outside. Our school district is going to the situation where we're not going to try to social distance as much maybe as some others, but we have a large number of students that are also not going to be in the school as well. So social distancing is naturally going to is going to have the advantage there anyway with fewer students in the school. So, but yeah, I'm going to use masks.
At this point, as the study results are trickling in, they do say small group singing, not for long periods of time, always wearing a mask. Some people have asked, what about a face shield? You can do a face shield too, but a mask should still be worn with a face shield. For teachers, when the aerosol is coming toward you, maybe with all of your students, they said, glasses would be good also, or if you don't want to use a face shield. So, because of your eyes. So it's something to remember. When the kids are all pointed one way, that's fine, but you're pointed at all of them. So some goggles, glasses, face shield, along with a mask would be a good idea. Anything else? Oh, someone said, is there a timetable for all state auditions? We're working. I know that everybody's like, all state. As things are changing day to day, we're trying to adapt, knowing that there's a goal date that is going to happen no matter what. We just can't look forward and predict what will be going on by that time. So Amy had said, is there a timetable for all state auditions? Your district chair probably told you the September date is out. Our plan 2 or our plan B is to somehow, if possible, have all state auditions around the first 2 weeks of November. Specifically, if we can get specific, looking at a November 7th deadline. So that's where we're at with that. That's, again, we are right now this week, what KMEA is doing, the chorus was the first group that talked with them, the chorus council. And then all of the other groups that have choirs like middle school chorus and band and guitar, they're meeting via Zoom meetings this week with John and Melissa also to see how this is going to work. Lois says middle school also, I don't know. That the middle school people are meeting with John separately from the high school people. Someone said, my husband's a respiratory therapist. He recommends cleaning the face shield inside and out as often as possible, face mask every day. I would say this, make sure you're not cleaning your children's face mask, your students' face mask. If they want it, they can bring it. Don't let them leave it in the room. And if they're going to use a face mask, they have to be the only one using their face mask. So it's something for them to take home and bring back, kind of like their mask. Treat it as a mask. You wouldn't have a pile of masks and say, here, take one. You would make sure they brought their own. So be careful with that. Yes, auditions will be pushed in November. What else do we have lately? I don't know if are there any other questions that I've missed on the chat? Let's see. Yeah, so have we answered all your questions about Allstate? And again, we know that not all questions can be answered at this time, but know that we are working on it. Know that we have a deadline in mind. Know that right now that auditions would take place in the first part of November. Are the recommendations for singing practices available on the KMEA website yet? I don't think so. John, do you have any information on that for us?
This afternoon is actually when the second iteration of responses from the aerosol study, or recommendations, the second level of recommendations, are to be revealed publicly. I think it's probably, I'm going to send out the link. It's going to be a YouTube presentation, and it's probably available on the National Federation of High School Associations YouTube channel. It's probably there. They're broadcasting it live right now. Actually, I think they're broadcasting it live. And so it'll be archived, and we'll be able to watch it and see what the second level is. And then there'll also be paper documentation, so to speak, that we'll be able to share out. And I think it's going to be pretty illuminating. I think the first time they were desperate to get some information out for everybody. And so they kind of hurried it. And now this time they've had more time to really give something substantial. It is still not complete, not going to be complete for months, but it should tell us a lot more, including how to assess your classroom due to size and the number of people and the activities going on for the risk level. So that's kind of good. We're trying to keep things coming along. Kentucky versions of it, so to speak, but that's the source material. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Thanks. Couple things. It says our health department is requiring pods of students 125 or less. This has majority tanked our student schedules, allowing for choir and meeting this requirement. Are you having this problem, or is it just a health department's requirement? Right now, Olivia and I don't even know our schedule. Well, we know our schedule. We don't know our students. So we don't really know. I've heard different stories. Different places all over the state are saying different things. I've lost my program. I've lost my choirs. What I would recommend to you is, if you lose students, this gives you, online teaching gives you a way to meet back with them, even if it's in the evening and not during a scheduled day. So this is a great time to build your program by allowing anyone in to special Zoom meetings, like for the Disney sing-along. There's people out there that wants to sing along with that Disney. So this might be, as challenging as it is right now with maybe lower numbers, maybe creatively you can bring more people into your program by offering things that aren't graded. It's just fun. Let's come and sing for fun with us. Another person says, if Allstate was canceled, is there a date when that decision would be made? The Kentucky Arts Center thinks they will be open by the end of January, beginning of February, but they think it will be. So at this point, no, we don't have that. I will say this, that we are hoping not to all out cancel All-State. We are hoping to, if we have to change it, we change it. But we're talking to directors to see if there can be some sort of online experience. Will the All-State auditions be sent in as recordings? If we have, yes, if we can't have them face to face. I'm not allowed to see mixed grade levels. I was wondering if that was widespread. It will be something that Olivia and I deal with at Madison Central, but we really don't even know how yet. So if there's no more questions, we've gone a long time for, I just want to thank everybody so much for coming. It would be nice to have one of these. Will there be a certificate of participation today? John, can we get a certificate of participation?
Well,
wow.
Here we go. Trying to get that video up. There, I'm trying to.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to think what to do. We had one available for the conversations thing last Monday, and we intend to do that each time. So Josh Rayburn of Fayette County Schools helped me learn how to do that, to where you just put in your name and it comes to you, and you can turn that in. So I think Dee put it in the chat earlier. Could that happen? And I've been desperately trying to configure one, but I can't do it. I've got to go back through the instructions and get everything right. So I guess I'm trying to think what to do.
At this time, could everyone just log their time in at this meeting? And when we figure it out at a later time, why don't we ask for your time and, just trust you?
Yeah,
and see if we can get
it's
those
always
out.
an honor system anyway. It's nice if it's right there during the meeting, because the timestamp on the certificate is good. But anyway, I'm going to send out an email to all of the choral teachers to say that this meeting has been archived for them to watch.
Yeah.
And I'll include that link for that in that email.
And Dee says he can help. So thank you, Dee. Yay. Woo. All right.
I'm currently making a Google form, Google sheet for you to fill out with your attendance. So give me a second and I'll share it in the chat.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yay.
Good idea.
Thank you. Guys, I think this is something that we may want to revisit doing maybe once a month. This is really, I know that's really enlightening for me and really encouraging. We, when so many times we're considered the others, but we know that honestly, we're the most creative, and we can pull this off if anybody can pull this off. So thank you again. Thanks so much for coming today. Dee has listed a Google Doc for you. And if there's no more questions or comments, I just want to thank you and thank all the speakers today. They really pulled it together for me. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we hope you start the school year strong and creatively with lots of music. So thanks so much, everybody.